Hi everybody, it's Steve Halley here with the Family Peace Initiative, and welcome to the next Facilitators Tool Chest blog, where each month or so I try to just throw out some information that might be helpful for facilitators of battery intervention programs, or helping professionals might be helpful for people to consider while they're trying to make a difference with others. And today I want to talk with you about dipping our toes in the pool. One of the things that changed the way Dorothy and I parented Max growing up was a book that we read by John Gottman when Max was very young, probably between 1 and 2 years of age. And his book was Raising an Emotionally Healthy Child. And when we read his book, he talked about working with kids and teaching them before the age of 5 or 6 how to recognize mad, sad, glad, and afraid. The fundamentals of all emotions that we experience are kind of boiled down into mad, sad, glad, and afraid. And Dr. Gottman talked about the importance of teaching kids all of this when they're young, because that is when they are so emotionally intense. They feel their emotions, very wide open. And it's a great time for parents to be able to teach kids what they're experiencing. Well, we decided that we would follow Dr. Gottman's advice, and we started working with Max on Mad, Sad, Glad, and Afraid. And every night, what we would do is, before we read to him, we would ask him how he felt that day. Give us one way that you felt mad today, one way that you felt sad today, one time that you were afraid today, one time that you were happy today. And then Dorothy and I would also share times when we had those same feelings. We would just normalize mad, sad, glad, and afraid. But the reality is that that's what's happening. We're being socialized away from our emotional selves. That somehow that the belief is that not being emotional is normal and being emotional is weird. Well, there's nothing probably further from the truth than that. That the reality is that being non-emotional, to the absence of affect, is diagnosable. It's an evidence of something that's happened to us. And that's important when you walk into your room working with those who batter. They are not skilled at mad, sad, glad, and afraid. They are not skilled at being able to express their emotions and even recognize in their bodies when they're having feelings. They're not good at it. Not only are we socialized generally, especially males, socialized to avoid and ignore and hide our mad, sad, glad, and afraid, but also the river of cruelty heaps that. Bessel van der Kolk and Bruce Perry, they talk about that cruelty and trauma disconnects us from our bodies, and it disconnects us from others, disconnects us from ourselves, disconnects us from others, and pretty soon we're not in relationship with anyone. And they emphasize that healing from trauma occurs in relationship. And so what we know when people come into our room is that they have restricted emotional expression, and if they don't, there's maybe don't belong there, right? That would be very unusual for someone to walk into your group room and not have restricted emotional expression. You can expect that. And so part of our programs has to be helping to address that, because if I'm not afraid of my feelings, then you're safer from me and I'm safer from me. But if I'm afraid of my feelings, then what am I willing to do to hide them, to ignore them, to keep them at bay, to repress them? The answer for many people is just about anything. And so we have to be able to teach people I use the analogy of swimming in a pool. We have to slowly introduce people to the physical experiences of mad, sad, glad, and afraid. Right? What does it feel like? What's happening in your body? And Bruce Perry talks about you cannot teach people to manage their feelings without people having feelings. You cannot think your way through managing emotional expression. Right? We have to feel things, and then learn how to respond and how to manage that. It's much like swimming. We can talk about swimming all day long and explain how the breaststroke works and how the freestyle works, but we ain't learning the breaststroke without getting in the pool and trying to swim the breaststroke. And that's true for emotions as well, right? That we can't learn how to be emotionally mature without having feelings and managing them in a more emotionally mature way. And so part of our program at the Family Peace Initiative is inviting people to feel things, not artificially, but setting up events that are an authentic experience that we know naturally provoke emotional response, like putting people in the front of the class and asking them to give a presentation, by asking people to talk about things and then asking them to notice what they're feeling in their body and what is that saying about them and what feeling might that be, mad, sad, glad, or afraid, or a combination of that bunch. And so we have sprinkled in our curriculum activities and processes that we know are asking people to pursue vulnerability. And when people pursue vulnerability, they're activating their emotional system, their limbic system, and we give them an opportunity to learn that they can feel things without having to be afraid, that the world's not going to end just because they're afraid. The world's not going to end when they say that they're sad about something. The world's not going to end when their body has a physical response. And I believe strongly that an affective component to your battered intervention program will elevate how successful you are at helping people move away from cruelty. I would encourage you to take a look at how are you activating emotional responses in your group, and how are you helping people process through those so that they can understand what's happening to themselves. Because I can tell you, very few people grew up in a space where they had a mom and dad who spent every day, multiple times a day, asking, how are you feeling? Mad, sad, glad, or afraid? What was your day like? Mad, sad, glad, or afraid? We would have never done that without reading Dr. Gottman's book of Raising an Emotionally Healthy Child. And in some ways, battering intervention classes is an extension of raising an emotionally healthy child. As a rule, these people are emotionally immature, and through the work that we're doing, we can help them to become more emotionally expressive, more comfortable with themselves, and as we become less afraid of ourselves, we become safer to ourselves and to others. Now, thank you so much for listening, and happy November, and look forward to seeing you soon. Bye-bye.